All right, so preview for tomorrow's 5 games, and there's something I'm debating about. I've been taking notes on every single game, watching as much of every single game as I can. But the amount of nitpicking for my notes that's been going on has me thinking I can just go back to what I used to do, which is just here's the stats, here's what happened. Good night, everybody. I'm debating about it because, um, yeah, I mean I can barely focus my eyes from all the hockey I watched today, and yeah, no, well, this was wrong, this is wrong, and this is okay. You know what? Maybe I'll just ditch it. So I'm considering it, just considering it, because the way I did the reviews last year, there was a lot less. There was complaining that all I was doing was reading off stats and talking about the goals and the assists, but it was a lot easier for me. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Because Saturdays are really bad. Saturdays are, yeah. Okay. That being said, and keeping in mind that I'm not TSN or Sportsnet, so it's one guy watching all these games. I had a recommendation too, like, oh, you should get people to help you out. No. Vancouver's in against the Rangers. I have many reasons for saying no to that. Vancouver's in against the Rangers. That game starts at 1 o'clock Eastern, which is 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific, which means right now as I'm recording this is 12:15 a.m. I have to be back up with the board and ready to go at 10 a.m. Eastern. So, yeah. And then there's a game at 2 and 2 games at 4. And then there's a game at 6. So they're nicely spread out tomorrow, but yeah, there goes that day. So it's just that's part of the deal with this channel, and I understand it. Vancouver's 4-3. They're coming off of that shutout loss against New Jersey, and the Rangers are 2-3. And this is game 1 of a 5-game homestand. So again, on the power rankings tonight, I didn't really drop the Rangers down as far as some people might have expected, in part because they have a big homestand coming up. We'll see how this goes for them. There's no reason to panic. They're only 2-3, which means they played 5 games. Tomorrow, Vancouver, this will be their 8th. So the Rangers have games in hand on pretty much everybody. Goal scorers with 4, JT Miller for the Canucks. Edler has 3, and with 2, Pearson, Sutter, and Pettersson. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put 2, how many have scored 2 on each team? Because that gives you an idea of how many 20 goal scorers they might have. On the Rangers side, it's difficult because most of them have 1. Zibanejad has 4, Panarin has 3, and we'll see tomorrow if somebody is able to get to that 2 mark. I'm guessing a few of them will. I would expect Markstrom, because Demko played today. Markstrom has been activated. He's back. Zane McIntyre was put back in the minors. I would expect Lundqvist tomorrow, but you know what? If you go with Georgiev, it's just as good. They're both pretty darn good goaltenders. Next up, Montreal in against Minnesota. So both Montreal and Vancouver go back to back with their matinee games. For Vancouver, it was a very frustrating loss to New Jersey, and for Montreal, a very encouraging win over St. Louis. So these teams may have completely different views right now on the matinee experience, and Montreal wants to continue it tomorrow and pick up where they left off against Minnesota the other day, where they beat them 4-0. So in Minnesota, and this is the end of these two teams meeting each other this year, because the schedule maker is always strange this way. Montreal's 4-2-2, and of course the Minnesota Wild are 1-6, and they are miserable. This is game 2 of a 2-game road trip for Montreal, and they head back home for 2. So 2 matinee games, and then back home they go. For Minnesota, this is game 1 of a 2-game homestand for them. So they need to win a couple at home and then get some confidence before heading back out on the road. Goal scorers. There are plenty of goal scorers in Montreal right now. With 4 goals, Armia and Gallagher. With 3 goals, Domi and Drouin. And with 2 goals, Petrie, Tatar, Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, Wheel, and Danault. Keep in mind, they've played exactly 8 games, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 players on pace for 20 goals or more for the Montreal Canadiens. On the other side, not as many. In 7 games, there are 4 players with 2 goals. Zucker, Hunt, Parise, and Cunnin. And that's it. But tomorrow is their 8th game, so we can get some guys to 2 goals, and then we'll have some more guys on pace for 20. Maybe. For Minnesota, it is already at that stage where we'll see what happens. Apparently, Bruce Boudreau's job is in no jeopardy whatsoever. But it's easy for a GM to say that in October. It's something different in December if their record continues to go at this pace. Because if you go with a rebuild, and the question I have is Bruce Boudreau a coach that works for a rebuild? Is he the kind of guy that you want teaching the young kids, or would you rather bring in somebody else, like the Canucks did when they brought in Travis Green, that kind of thing? So we'll see what Minnesota does, but tomorrow against Montreal, this is a chance for Montreal to put together back-to-back really solid games and start building towards something, because the Atlantic looks like it could end up being stacked, and Montreal could be on the positive side of that. All right, next up, Washington. They're 5-2-2. They're in against the 2-2-1 Chicago Blackhawks. That game starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. This is game 1 of a 5-game road trip for the Washington Capitals. This is game 5 of a 7-game homestand for the Chicago Blackhawks. So Chicago needs to make some hay at home, and they should be getting a Washington team in there. He should be kind of tired. Holtby's been confirmed. He's the only confirmed goaltender for tomorrow. Only confirmed one. And I do expect Dubnyk, and I expect to see Kincaid for Montreal. I'd be surprised if it wasn't Kincaid after Price played tonight. So with game 1 of a 5-game road trip for Washington, their leading scorer is Oshie with 6. Ovechkin's got 5. Vrana, Kuznetsov, and Karlsson have 3 each. And then Backstrom, Hathaway, Wilson, and Eller have 2. So they've played 9 games, so technically the guys with 2 aren't on pace for 20, but it's pretty darn close, right? On the Chicago side, they've only played 5 games, so nobody's got more than 2 goals. With 2 goals, Shaw, Kane, DeBrincat, Saad, and Alex Nylander. And if Alex Nylander scores 20 plus this year, that's a pretty solid deal for both they and the Buffalo Sabres. I think Sabres fans will tell you they're pretty happy with Yoki Haru. Thank you very much. And so far, I think Chicago's been kind of happy with the return with Nylander. So sometimes a trade works out for both teams. For Chicago, we'll see how things go at home tomorrow. I'm kind of expecting a Chicago win. They've won 2 in a row. I kind of expect them to make it 3. But that's why they play the games, because we don't really know. Next up, Oilers in against Winnipeg. The Oilers, of course, 7-1. Absolutely amazing run that they've been on. Now they go into Winnipeg against the 4-5 Jets, who are having their issues. On the Edmonton side of things, this is game 1 of a 2-game road trip for them. On the Winnipeg side of things, this is game 4 of a 6-game homestand. So, really, in all honesty, the Winnipeg Jets, if this homestand continues the way it's been going, they've lost the first 3 on this homestand. And all I think of is that poor kid who was interviewed last Sunday and said that he had decided not to go to Disneyland and instead wanted to watch this homestand for the Winnipeg Jets. That's first year in Winnipeg instead of in California, which some people may like Winnipeg more than California, to each their own, but I would personally probably rather go to Disneyland. And then to watch them lose every game, it's got to be frustrating for this kid. So here's to hoping he sees a victory, because I'm pretty sure they said he was watching 5 out of the 6 games. And this one could be a tough one to win. For the goals leaders, the Oilers, of course, James Neal, the real deal again, 9 goals for him. Draisaitl 6, McDavid 5, Cassian with 3, and Ethan Bear with 2. On the Winnipeg side of things, Scheifele is your leader with 4. Wheeler, Laine, Connor, and Ehlers all have 3. And with 2 goals, Pionk, Roslovic, and Perreault. Goaltenders, I kind of expect Brossoit. I don't know. They could go with Hellebuck. They could go with Brossoit. And for Edmonton, I kind of expect them to go with Koskinen because he's playing really well, which means we'll get Smith. Right? So again, just kind of guessing, and like with Chicago, I expect it to be Corey Crawford tomorrow night. Crawford and Holtby, a classic matchup between the two of them. But this Edmonton-Winnipeg game, this is really, really important for Winnipeg. They have to stop the bleeding. They have to start getting some wins, because even though it's early in the season, these are all home games they're losing, and you're making it so you have to go out on the road and win a bunch on the road. And that's much more difficult. All right, that being said, I have to change boards for that one other game. And that last game is Calgary in against Anaheim. It does not get easier for the Flames. The Flames, 4-4-1. They've played 9 games. Tomorrow's number 10. And for Anaheim, they're 6-2. This is their 9th game tomorrow. So Anaheim's had a busy schedule too. This is game 3, though, of a 3-game homestand for Anaheim. They've won the first 2. For Calgary, of course, this is game 2 of a 2-game road trip into California, and they lost the game against LA, the one they really needed to win. I expect Talbot here after the game Riddick had tonight in LA. And for Anaheim, I'd be very surprised if it's not John Gibson. The guy's playing absolutely out of his mind hockey. So when we look at this game, before the season starts, we're saying, you know what, Calgary struggles in Anaheim. Anaheim's had this whole voodoo curse over the Calgary Flames. But you know what? They're going to go in there and it's all cured. It's all done. This has the looks, the earmarks of Anaheim's back. Calgary's in trouble. This has all the earmarks of a shutout victory for Anaheim. I'm just throwing that out there. And again, Gibson's playing really well. They're playing the trap when they get the lead in the third period, and we'll see how Calgary deals with that. Also being, coming off of a very frustrating loss for to LA. Goals leaders, Lindholm, 5 goals. Gaudreau, 3. With 2 goals, Hanifin, Mangiapane, Giordano, Monahan, and Tkachuk. On the Anaheim side of things, with 5 goals, Henrique. With 4 goals, Silverberg. With 3 goals, Raquel. And with 2 goals, Fowler and Getzlaf. So, some scoring depth there, definitely. 5 guys on pace for 20 goals, 2 on pace for 40, and Henrique on pace for 50. And on the Calgary side, of course, Lindholm has had a very strong start to the season goals-wise, and we're still waiting on that first line to start looking like they did early last year. They've been good. Have they been great? Not for the most part. Very inconsistent results. So there you go. Like I said, I'm thinking about with the reviews, just simplifying it, and because again, when I do the reviews, and I'm just throwing this out here, I watch all the games. As soon as that last game is done, I don't watch a bunch of highlight packages. I don't scroll over to TSN Sportsnet. I don't watch a bunch of stuff. I immediately start the review video on what I watched and the notes I took. So there's no research staff. There's no note checkers. And again, and I mention this regularly, which is that goals get changed after what I've put up. Sometimes the assists get changed. Sometimes I'm watching in game and they're like, oh, by the way, on that goal, and I'm like, oh, and I got to go on the board and change it. I try not to stress about that. I try to let you guys know my impression of the game on how things went, and I find that to be more important than the numbers. But if the focus is going to end up being just on the numbers, I'm okay with, all right, I'll stop taking notes and I'll just go back to the numbers. So I'm fine either way, but we'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video, and when I see a bunch of likes on a video and a bunch of dislikes, the ratio will kind of tell me where I'm at and where something's hitting or it's missing. So the reviews seem to be hitting pretty well, but again, if the note taking just isn't working out, then I have no problem with getting rid of it. For instance, I didn't see Tkachuk get into it with Doughty. I didn't watch the third period for the most part between Calgary and the Kings because that game was over. So anything that happened after that, I'm like, all right, well, this could get ugly, but the San Jose Buffalo game is really exciting and it's really close, and I don't want to turn this game to go to the other one and miss something here. So again, I have to make those decisions, and then at the end of the night, I do the notes up, and I do them up as well as I can. And then I start uploading the videos. So again, does stuff get missed? Yeah. But again, I'm just trying to give my impression of what I see during the night, and these things happen. I have watched every single hockey game that's been played in the National Hockey League last year and this year. At least parts of every single game that gets played. So, which is funny because then you'll still see in the comment section, oh, you obviously don't watch the games if... I talked to my wife about that. We haven't been out on a date in ages because hockey every single night. So that's part of what I do for the channel, and I do that because that's my job. But again, we'll see how things turn out and how things may evolve from here. So let me know your thoughts for sure. And thank you guys so much for all your support and helping this channel get to the monumental number of 125,000. I never would have dreamt of getting there. And I appreciate each and every one of you who've hit that subscribe button and who do like my videos. It means that when I go to bed and get up and start work again, I know what I'm doing it for, and I appreciate it. And it's a labor of love. I saw there was one YouTuber I saw today who was talking about, in 5 years I don't expect to be a YouTuber anymore, and he's got a really big channel, millions of subscribers, and he's talking all the time about, I want to do a reset, and I think I'll do a reset. And I thought, never. There will never be a day where I load up a video on here and I go, hey guys, by the way, I'm now going to be doing videos on balloons, and I've got a balloon channel, and I might not be talking about hockey anymore. That's never going to happen. I understand that's what got me here. That's what keeps me here, and it's never going to happen. So while other YouTubers have delusions they're going to be big singers when they're YouTubers, or they're going to be a big star in some other media, I'm here for you, and I'm here every day. Thank you guys so much for helping make this a reality. I will talk to you again soon.